It all began on an ordinary Tuesday when I stumbled upon a folder buried deep in a shared drive, labeled with a name I never expected to see attached to secrets. My heart pounded as I clicked open files filled with encrypted messages, spreadsheets, and cryptic notes that hinted at a plan so layered it felt like a puzzle designed to trap me. The room around me seemed to close in, the hum of the city outside fading as my mind raced with questions. The more I read, the clearer the stakes became. This wasn't just office politics or harmless gossip. It was a web of manipulation targeting people I cared for, orchestrated by someone I trusted implicitly. The betrayal sank in like a cold blade. I sat frozen, torn between disbelief and the urgent need to protect those who were unknowingly caught in this hidden game. Trying to piece together motives, I realized the agenda wasn't just about power or money. It was personal. Someone was leveraging secrets to rewrite history, to control narratives, to ensure certain truths never saw the light of day. The weight of this knowledge pressed down on me, and I felt the first sting of isolation. Who could I trust when the very foundation of my relationships was built on lies? I reached out to my closest friend, hoping for a sounding board, only to find guarded eyes and vague reassurances. It was clear they knew more than they let on, but the silence was deafening. Our conversations became a delicate dance, each word measured, each smile a mask. The line between ally and adversary blurred until I wasn't sure if I was safe even in my own thoughts. At night, I replayed every interaction, every offhand comment, searching for clues. The feeling of being watched settled in, curling around me like a shadow that wouldn't lift. I began taking precautions, encrypted messages, burner phones, secret meetups, the paranoia justified but exhausting. I had to be careful. One wrong move could unravel everything. The pressure mounted when a cryptic text arrived. "We know you're looking. Be careful what you dig up." My hands trembled, the threats implicit but unmistakable. It was a warning and a challenge. I realized then that stepping into this world meant risking not just friendships, but my very safety. Yet, turning back wasn't an option. The truth demanded exposure. As I delved deeper, I uncovered faces behind the conspiracy, familiar, yet distorted by greed and fear. One in particular stood out, someone whose charm masked ruthless ambition. They had built a facade so convincing that few questioned their intentions. But beneath the surface, their moves were calculated, each step designed to maintain control and silence dissent. Confronting this person was a gamble. I arranged a meeting in a neutral spot, the tension palpable as words were exchanged like weapons. The conversation danced around admissions and evasions, the air thick with unspoken threats. Their smile never reached their eyes, and I knew the game was far from over. I left with more questions than answers, but a resolve hardened by confrontation. Back home, I sifted through old messages and photos, searching for any thread that could unravel the tangled story. Memories once warm now felt like echoes of a past I couldn't reclaim. The faces of those involved haunted me, their motives murky and shifting. I was caught in a storm of loyalty and betrayal, unsure which path would lead to salvation and which to ruin. Sleep became elusive as my mind wrestled with the implications. Every dream was a replay of moments, whispered secrets, furtive glances, broken promises. I awoke with a start, heart racing, desperate for clarity that remained just out of reach. The line between reality and suspicion blurred, and I feared losing myself in the labyrinth of lies. Determined to gather allies, I reached out cautiously to others who might share my concerns. The responses were mixed, some wary, others openly hostile. Trust was a scarce commodity, and alliances fragile. The network of deception was wider than I imagined, touching corners I hadn't dared explore. But I knew that to fight the hidden agenda, I needed to build a coalition, however precarious. An unexpected breakthrough came when a confidential source provided a piece of the puzzle, a document that could expose the entire scheme. Holding it felt surreal, a tangible symbol of hope amid chaos. But with it came new dangers. The source warned me, "They will come for you, be ready." The stakes had escalated, and the game was no longer abstract but deadly real. I began documenting everything meticulously, creating backups, encrypting files. Every detail mattered, from coded emails to subtle shifts in behavior. The process was painstaking but necessary. I was not just uncovering a story, I was building a fortress against an invisible enemy. Yet the isolation deepened, the burden of knowledge heavier with each passing day. One evening, a knock at the door shattered the fragile calm. Panic surged through me as I glimpsed shadowed figures outside. I stalled, heart pounding, before they left without entering. That night, sleep fled completely. The realization hit hard. The watchers were closer than I thought, and my every move was under scrutiny. I confided in a trusted confidant, someone outside the immediate circle, hoping for guidance. Their advice was sharp and pragmatic. You're playing a dangerous game, know when to pull back. But retreat wasn't an option. I had to choose between preserving fragile peace or shattering illusions for the sake of truth. The dilemma was torturous, but the answer was clear in my heart. Days blurred into nights as I balanced daily life with the underground war I was waging. Every conversation, every glance felt loaded with meaning. The weight of secrecy clawed at my sanity. I couldn't share the burden openly, afraid of who might be listening. The double life was exhausting, and the fear of discovery a constant shadow. Then came the moment I dreaded, a public accusation that threatened to discredit me and bury the truth. It was a calculated move by those desperate to maintain control. The wave of doubt spread quickly, isolating me further. Friends questioned my motives, and the line between victim and villain blurred in the court of public opinion. Refusing to be silenced, I gathered evidence and prepared to make a stand. The moment felt surreal, like stepping into a spotlight that exposed every flaw and fear. But I knew that hiding was no longer an option. The truth, no matter how painful, deserved to be heard. The fight had become not just about secrets, but about reclaiming my own voice. The day of reckoning arrived with a storm of emotions. As I spoke out, the room crackled with tension. Some faces were supportive, others skeptical, and a few openly hostile. The air was thick with unspoken histories and fractured loyalties. But in that moment, I felt a flicker of power, the courage to confront shadows and demand accountability. Yet even as I exposed the hidden agendas, the aftermath was uncertain. Relationships strained to breaking points, alliances shifted unpredictably. The landscape of trust had been forever altered. I knew the journey was far from over, the consequences of truth ripple outward, touching lives in unexpected ways. Late into the night, alone once more, I reflected on the fragile balance between loyalty and honesty. The choice to reveal secrets had cost me dearly, but silence had an even higher price. I realized that navigating this maze required resilience, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to what felt right, even when the path was unclear. Despite the turmoil, a quiet hope lingered that by shining light on hidden agendas, change might begin, that the tangled web of deceit could unravel, making way for healing and new beginnings. But the road ahead was uncertain, and I braced myself for the challenges still to come, caught forever between loyalty and truth.